What is going on, guy? I'm Cyberhorn92 here. In today's video, I'll be doing balance prediction. I'm here as a special guest. Would you like to introduce who you are?
Hi, I'm Charles. I have been playing the game for about 5-ish years now, and I've really competitively playing the game.
Yes.
And I really like taking deep dives on different formats, and looking on how we can kind of improve it. So that's what I'm here to do.
Yeah, and we'd like to say thank you for your time, and I really appreciate it. But yeah,
Yeah.
let's get started. For the first one, we think Shifter should get banned. This card's been way too long. And
So this card is the definition of a toxic gatekeeping card. This card gatekeeps literally any deck that uses their graveyard, and it just shuts off a game mechanic. And if you look at cards in the past, like Scythe, those cards that shut off game mechanics have been really, really toxic. And this is a card that shuts off a game mechanic as a hand trap, which I don't think is fair.
yeah,
Also, this kind was a little more, a little better. I was gonna say more better, but it's a little better now that we have Gamma. We don't have Gamma to stop it, so it's really coming out of control for like Math Mech players who would like to use their graveyard, but kinda can't with Shifter being dropped, and you can't use Circular. So the card's very toxic, and especially when you have a deck like Cash, which is as polarizing as it is in the format, and then you say, "Here's a hand trap copy of Arias Heart, so have fun." It's just not a fair card.
yeah, and like the turn skip, it does make a difference because like by the time when someone get turn skip, literally you're getting OTK. You're not getting an extra chance. You're literally gonna get OTK right off the bat.
Yeah.
And then the next card we're gonna be talking about Eradicator, no self introduction. This card literally won two events. One was the Labyrinth player that ripped like for 4 or 5 cards on the Cashier player, and the finals at the North America. What's your thoughts on that?
So I think this card is just toxic, saying any deck that can play a monster with 2,000 or 2,500 or more attack, that is a dark. You can just slap this in your deck and say, look at your hand, rip all the spells out. And Yu-Gi-Oh has kind of sped up to the pace where power spells are almost entirely necessary in these formats. So when you kind of are able to rip out power spells, not only with engine spells, like for example, if you're playing a deck like Pearly or Sky Striker, you're ripping out engine spells, but then you rip out your Lightning Storm, your Dark Road, your engine spells. So it is a very just oppressive card in the fact that you can double down on hitting engine and hitting power spells. Also, you get to look at your opponent's hand, so you get hand knowledge on top of all of that, and you get to rip your opponent's draws as well. So if you don't kill them, and they get a draw into a spell, they lose a draw. So it's absolutely just not fair.
Yeah.
There's no way.
I think like Lotus was at one and they hit because like that card looked like literally like a trap dasher basically. But
Lotus ripped one card out of your hand, and that card is banned. This card can rip your entire hand, and it is not banned.
100%, 100%.
Also, the fact that Labyrinth has a 2-card way to search this card is 100% not fair. In any sense of the reality. I don't know why this card is legal.
Yeah, makes sense. And then I believe we're gonna be talking Cashier Birth. You want this card to get hit, is that correct?
Yeah, so the reason why is Kashira is this very polarizing deck that is just not fair. Arise Heart being able to recur all your resources while also being a powerful floodgate and a form of removal is just really not fair. This card is literally recycling all your resources while also being a extremely good end board piece.
Yeah.
When you look on that, the reason why it has really great recursion, not only Arise Heart, but there's one card called Kashira Birth, and this card is literally the definition of recursion. It does everything from the deck. It allows you to normal summon if you control a monster without tributing. It allows you to special from your grave or banished. And against some decks, you can just banish their graveyard. It's a triple DD Crow.
Yeah, it's like an FTK.
Against some decks.
Yeah, against...
Like against Sky Striker or like Pearly, it's an FTK.
Yeah, or Despio.
And or yeah, and Despia. It's like this card is totally 100% unfair.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the fact that without this card, Cash will have no recursion,
Mm-hmm.
no way to play through a monster in their main monster zone. Cash just literally falls apart. And then it's so it's like not good anymore. So it's making Cash one of the most polarizing decks playable as like an engine in something like Vanquish Troll or something like Tier Elements, but it's not letting the pure deck be there, which is kind of what the goal you want to do here
Yeah,
is.
makes sense. I was actually thinking about putting that card to one, but like at one, like you can search off of it. Like if that card stays
Unicorn
on the
is a
field,
card.
yeah, that as long as that card stays up like quite a couple turns, that literally make a big difference for sure. And then we're gonna be talking about the gimmick puppet. What was your explanation on this one? I know this is a really good card. There's another card literally
So
exactly the same thing as this one.
the big difference is that how this card applies in the TCG, there is no effect, and it's not a link. It's a lingering effect for the turn, so it's not activated. Also, cards like Dark Hole, Enemy Controller really don't do anything against this card. Well, something like Ido or Ross
Yep.
Disciple,
Yep.
you are allowed to tribute it off or Dark Hole it or tribute summon over it, and you actually get something done.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's the big thing. Like this card just says no.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get anything. Like you don't get to even have a chance, and this is the most oppressive version of the lock.
Yeah.
And I think this card should be banned. I think that Sanctifier is too new of a card,
Mm-hmm.
just coming out in Syac for them to ban it. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that this card, 100% does deserve to get banned. And then maybe when they ban Sanctifier, they can unban this card.
Okay.
But until
Okay.
then,
Just an experiment. Yeah. Makes
until then,
sense.
this card cannot be in the format.
Yeah, it makes sense. And then we mentioned this literally last minute. I feel like we should ban all the Shizu. I know we sound kind of crazy, but like the whole Shizu, literally doing all the work, all the tiers can literally bring back the all the Shizu. It's kind of like during Dragon Ruler format. It was a three, then they all hit at one, and then they banned every single the Dragon Ruler because they were the main problem one, and then they brought back the babies because the babies aren't actually doing anything. Would you agree with that, by the way?
So, the one big difference is Dragon Roller was like any dragon deck can play these. Any
Mm-hmm.
deck that would like cards in their graveyard can and mills can play these cards, and
Mm-hmm.
it becomes crazy. It's just the fact that these cards are literally the best mill engine in the entirety of the game.
Mm-hmm.
It not only deals with milling, it also deals with if your opponent has graveyard effects or graveyard recursion, you can stop that with the shufflers.
Mm-hmm.
So it basically says, hey, we're going to both mill, but if you have an effect, I have responses. And if you didn't mill any of your effects, now I have responses to shuffle back cards.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is just not, it's really, 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 really not fair
Yeah, that's true.
to that point. So I think that these are just healthy to have in the game to
Mm-hmm.
basically limit and allow Konami to produce new cool graveyard centric decks
Mm-hmm.
without having to worry. And also with a D shifter being banned, there's no one to really say, okay, yeah, these cards are put in check. There's nothing to really say that when you don't have D shifter in the format. So if these cards are running around,
Yeah.
Tier can 100% be the best
Yeah.
deck out there, which is not.
Yeah, by far. And
Yeah, and if you're touching cash in this, you need to be touching the Ishizus.
yeah, and mention about the Shizu, like there were a lot of people did not show up in the community ever since they came out because like they know it's broken. It play on your turn too, like that's actually ridiculous as well. But yeah, that's what we think. And then two more band card section. You were saying about Natural Beast and Hot Dragon Calamity. Just curious on that part.
So, when you want to kind of limit the format,
Mm-hmm.
you want to like kind of get rid of the more broken cards.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Naturia Beast is basically Eradicator,
That's
but it
true.
negates everything.
Yeah.
Which and it negates everything and it mills cards. So you don't
That's
get to
true.
look at your hand or their draws, but it's really nice.
Yeah.
And Hot Red Calamities basically says, if this card hits the board, I win the game.
Yeah, it's like lingering
Um,
like a gimmick puppet.
it's a gimmick puppet that cannot be responded to.
Oh dang! I didn't know. I
So
didn't know
you
that.
need to
Okay.
respond to. And this card is just not okay for the format because it basically puts you into a format where if you're not doing what Manadium's doing, why are you playing the deck? If you're not locking your opponent out of the game, why are you playing the deck? And it also puts us in this weird position where if we have Cash and Manadium in the format, people want to play Droplets because, you need to stop the Crimson Dragon or Chalice.
Yup.
Chalice would probably be better.
Or
but
Moon too.
Or both of them, because Dark Roller, because they can just do it during your draw phase. Dark Roller is not that great.
Yup.
But then you have Cash, right? If you want to play both of them so you can kind of maximize your chances of stopping Crimson Dragon Lock, well, then you're very funny because Cash, it sends for cost, so you can't do it under Cash. So it puts you in this position where no matter what you are playing, you're either losing to Cash or you're losing to Manadium. So you have to put in this weird kind of spot. Or if you're Labyrinth, you can just set 5 pass. But
I understand. And also, this card been out for quite a long time, so I believe they did hit the Samurai, like kind of like the same situation earlier than before.
Yeah, one thing also, this card has caused problem in the past. You'll get Punk Therion. Punk Therion was a notorious person of doing this lock. Punk Therion, you have decks like Dragon Link was doing it when Hulk was saying, like, this card has caused problems in the past, and now it's kind of like, all right, now you can any deck that can make 2 level 12s, you can Hot Red Dragon and lock your opponent.
Yeah, no, you do have a good point on that part. That's all the band section we can think of top of our head. If you guys do have anything, let us know in the comments below. And then now we're gonna go for limited, since I know you've been playing sprites for a long time with the super heavy samurai with sprite blue, jet, and also starter to one. I think this is actually a pretty good choice. From your end, you wanna say anything from there?
So a little spoiler, I will say. When you hit the Runic engine along with the Sprite engine, Sprite becomes 10, 100 times worse because Sprite was kind of like, I don't need Sprite cards because I can summon them off of Gigantic and use with the Runic engine. But when you kind of limit the Runic engine and kind of dial it back, you kind of enter this point where, Sprite is not as much as a problem when you limit their cards. The consistency hits will make pure Sprite and cards like things like Gishki Sprite, other Sprite variants other than the Runic Sprite variants. No, you're not going to play this. Now, once you hit the Runic cards, Runic Sprite, I think Sprite is something that like lingers, and I think the other reason why Sprite, which is the big reason, is the fact that I'm not hitting this because this deck is like necessarily oppressive or it's been around for too long. It has been, but it's the fact that anytime you print a level 2 monster, you have to think, can it pair with Sprite? Because if it can, then that like you cannot print a good level 2 monster because then you have the issue of, okay, Sprite will play it. And that's kind of what happens is you're put in this position where you cannot play Sprite because of the fact that if you try and play Sprite, print good level 2 monsters, Sprite can play it. So you want to put it to where you can hit Sprite's consistency, so it makes it to the point where you can print good level 2 monsters without having to worry about Sprite being able to play them.
Okay, that makes sense. And then I think we kind of want to follow as the OCG Dragon. This feels like pretty powerful. There's like the DD Crow, but like you have Bodies, Recursion, Lobelian can do several times. Magnemus, that's one of the best cards that can search any dragons, not just Bestials. And you want to say anything about that, Charles?
Dragon Link relies heavily on the Bestials, and when you put them all to one, you're literally saying to Dragon Link, okay, you get one use of each of the bestials, and it makes it really hard to have this grind game that Dragon Link is notorious for right now, with the mid-rangey style of grind game that they can put out with the bestials. You can't really do that when you limit that. You put it so where when they get their board broken, they have a lot less recursion, which was Dragon Link's problem in the past, and why Dragon Link kind of fell off before the bestials came out. So I think that with this, it would limit the power of Dragon Link, but it would also limit the power of maybe a deck like Despia as well. Saying, okay, Despia, you have one Lubellion. If it gets if it gets DD crowed, right? Like, there you go. You know, your Bestial Lubellion's gone. So I think that would just limit two decks, two burns with one stone. You know.
Yeah, that's true. And like ever since Bestial came out, I just say what are these like during tier element formats, everyone started playing this, and I said, oh my god, these are basically broken. Like they look like a DD Crow, but you get a free body recursion. You just like have multiple bodies, and by the time you know it, it's already game on board.
They're a DD Crow that they're a DD Crow that generates bodies and advantage all at the same time.
That is true. That's true. And
it's like how people thought Dangers were broken because they were officially upstarts that get cards in graveyard and gets bodies on board. Now we have DD Crows that gain card advantage and gets body on the board. This should not be running around the game right now.
That is true. That is true. And then we were talking about Cashier. I think Fenrir and Unicorn should probably hit one for like an experiment, not like just like ban Fenrir, since I know Konami trying to sell some products of it before hitting it. You have any thoughts on that, Charles?
Fenrir is a generic card. It's like the new Pankratops, right? You think about it, right? Why play Pankratops when you could play Fenrir, which Fenrir doesn't destroy it. It banishes it face down. It's also good going first. The card is literally broken, so I think it should be put to 1. Kind of like how, Pankratops is at 1. So I think that banning it is not, the answer right now. And I think Kashtira Unicorn to 1 kind of just, says, all right, now you're definitely not playing Kashtira. Like, Birth was bad enough, but now you have one of Unicorn with no way to recur it. So you have no recursion at all. The deck is just not good at all.
Yeah, it won't be good as before, but the deck, everyone's complained, and the deck is very consistent. It's better than Flunder for sure.
I think the other thing is it's so polarizing. Arise Heart is such a good card; it does everything for the deck.
That's
the fact that you can go into Arise Heart lines, or you can zone lock, or you can do this. The fact that everything you're doing with Kashtira is extremely polarizing is the fact why I think that Kashtira is so good. It's because anytime you're going into your extract and doing something, it is extremely polarizing, which is I don't think you can say about many other decks. Like Kashtira, you could either be going into a Shangri-La to go into a zone lock. You could either be you could do that, or you could be going into a Rise Heart Pass, which is a macro, a banish, and a cycling all your resources, getting your big bangs back, getting your Theosis to add. It's literally just everything for the deck, and I think that's a fact. That's true. A deck so polarizing should not be able to be played in today's Yu-Gi-Oh.
Also, we've been looking at the whole nationwide for the Yu-Gi-Oh community. Cashman had the most representative and consistency. Even players that start coming back to the game, they just pick up Cash. That was the high representative. It just really really strong, and it was a safer route to play for all those seasons.
Cash is also super it has such high representation. Cash, I think, might be one of the only decks. I don't know if this is. I might have to fact check this, but this Cash may be only one of the decks that took up all 4 slots. Of nationals. All 4 of them were playing Cash.
Yep.
Because it's undoubtedly anytime cash is legal at the power it is,
Yep.
it will be the best deck in the room.
That's
Which
the
is
deck is so
just
consistent too. Yep.
it's not honestly. It's really it's Ken Brick. You know, people call it Shatira for a reason.
Mm.
But the fact of the matter is that you don't need a lot to do. You only need a little to do a lot. Is kind of what cash is very good at achieving.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. All right, and then now we're gonna go to the semi-limited. We're just gonna copy as the OCG Armageddon 92. I don't think this is not gonna be impactful. I guess it's good like for Shadal and some other decks. I don't see a reason why not.
One lower thing before you do semi-limited. Runic Tip and Runic Fountain to 1.
Oh yeah.
These cards, Runic Tip is literally just any other Runic card in the game, and Fountain is really extremely difficult.
100%.
You need to have 2 Cosmics if you would like to get Fountain out of the game, which is annoying. So having Fountain to 1 makes it so if you have a Cosmic, you win the game against Runic, which is something that like is really, really, really good.
Yeah.
Because before it was like, okay, I Cosmic it. They have a second one. I had the Cosmic that because some people might say, okay, you can Lightning Storm. Then they go into Jerry and add it back, which is the issue.
Yep.
Fountain needs to be banished face up or face down. And the card is just not fair in any sense of the word. So I think this card should be go to 1. And Runic Tip is really good because a lot of people don't realize Runic Tip gets a Runic spell in graveyard while also grabbing a second Runic spell. So if you think about it, if it's any Runic card plus Runic Tip is 100% guaranteed to be a draw 3 off of Fountain.
That's true. That's true.
Which should not be allowed. Because Fountain draws 3. One honorable mention I would like to talk about is Rex for hire. That card is broken. Really, really broken. Like, oh my god. It allows you to go...
using that search a card, right?
It's the one that searches a card, and then it also banishes for a reborn. Card's so good.
Yeah,
I think that card should go to 1 as well, just to limit the consistency of that deck, because
and this
having a draw 6 run around is just not fair.
Yeah, and also like basically you get to see like your fast cards fast as possible. Like draw up to 3, that's like card in the mice. Like that card is broken, and also you have multiple times. It's a soft once per turn. Is that correct?
It's a soft once per turn. So if you have 2 copies of Fountain, you can do it. You can draw 6 in 1 turn.
Dang, that's very nasty. I'd rather not deal with Runix because Runix is a little bit kind of like a stall deck. I personally don't like Runix, but yeah, basically try to deck out your opponent or like basically bash all your engine cards and you literally cannot recur them somehow. But yeah. And then now we're gonna go for the semi-limited. I think Armageddon Night. I don't think it's not currently doing anything. I think this card should be probably add to an experiment. I guess it's good for like Shadal or some other things. You have anything else to say?
I do not agree with this. This is something that, like, in my point, I think this card is like so crazy. It can be a starter for Infernoble. Because it is it's a warrior. You can it can be that. Or you could play it in Tier, because Tiers are dark, and you can summon that or you can send a Strudo into Ancient Fairy. This card is really, really, really not fair. It also says if you print any good dark monster with a graveyard effect, have fun, because like this card is crazy. Not only that, Armageddon Night makes a deck called Dark Warrior very, very good. Because you can Armageddon Knight, Foolish Mally, and then you can go into Isolde, and then you can like go into Isolde, and then you can go into full you can summon Torn Scales, go into full PK combo. No, I don't think this card should be allowed in right now. I think this card at 1 is 100% fine. I think semi-limiting it would unlock Pandora's box.
Okay, makes sense. I was just curious. It's like the OCG did put out too. I just say, but yeah,
Also,
since we're different from OCG to
yeah.
TCG, brand fusion.
One other thing, we did forget some things in the limited, because we're gonna bring some cards back to one.
Oh yes. Oh yeah, forgot about
I think
these cards.
Yeah. So I think Zeus should be at 1.
Yeah.
When you have decks like Pearly, and Cash running around, it says, "Hey, you're playing an Xyz deck. You can slap it," and then it says, "All right." Like when you use the first one to exhaust a board and buy you another turn, the fact that you can just go, "All right, I use the Zeus to simplify the game state." Zeus is also really good into a simplified game state. So once you Zeus simplify the game state, you can summon another Zeus and win the game, which is just nasty.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is, I really don't think that Zeus should be allowed to be at 2. Just for the fact that this card is not only really good into a simplified game state, but it's very good at simplifying the game state. So I think just the fact that any deck can make this, it gives them an upper hand.
Yeah.
And I just don't think this card is fair.
I think that's one of the
more
best
than
one
copy.
Current format, but yeah, I totally agree with you on that part. And then Carriers and Mighty and Meow Meow. What's your reason on these?
All right, so Zenmaity. I mean, if you want a hand loop with windups in 2023, you can play through Nib. You can play through you can go have fun trying to play through hand traps, roll Nib, which this format will be full of because we have Vanadium, super heavy variants like with Sword Soul and different stuff like that. Rev Synchron decks. It's like this card is literally just okay. Hand traps are really good this format, but the issue with this card that I will pose, I want this card to come back because I think this is a very cool card. But I will mention, because I know people will say it, if we ever go back into a board breaker format, holy shit, is this going to be one of the most best decks out there? Because you can just hand loop your opponent. You can also just ban Hunter too. It's fine. No, like Zenmaity back, ban Hunter. And then Meow Meow Mew. Meow Meow Mew is like, if we decide to keep Cashier in the format, this is an Ash card. Like this is the Ash deck. But if we do like decide to hit Cashier, like we said, Meow Meow Mew is fine. We have a double Raigeki is fine. We have a card that is unaffected and can spin a fuck ton of cards not once per turn. Oh, and it can also draw cards on top of that. Yes, we also have a card that, like, you know what I mean? Like, we have so many cards that do more than just double Raigeki right now. Double Raigeki, I don't think. I also think the fact that it loses to 1 Ash, and Branded is still a deck and everyone's playing Ash, is kind of my point.
Agreed.
It's like the fact that since Branded is a deck, everyone's playing Ash. I mean, you can play Adventure. I mean, it's power crept at this point. It's totally not because I really, 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 really like this deck and I hope it comes back. Because I like playing those. All right, here's my 21 engine cards, and then here's my
give me one
butt ton
second.
of hand traps.
Sorry about that, you guys. We got technical difficulties. Give me 1 second. 1 second.
I will say, in the meantime.
Yep. Give me 1 second, you guys. Yep. Give me 1 second. All right. Where was it?
What are you cooking?
Was it the ban list?
Ban list 2023.
Okay, ban list 2023. All right. Ban list 2023. All right, guys. Sorry about that. Sorry about late delay for a second. But anyways, continue. What were you saying?
I think it could come back. I don't think. I think it's fine.
Yeah. All right. And then for the semi-limit, we already talked about Armageddon. I think Branded Fusion might be at 2 since I believe Destiny Hero Was at 2 as an OT from OTS. Brand Fusion recently got as an OTS as an Ultimate Rare. I think this should be at 2. It's not. It's just like a basically a fair deck. You have anything else to say, Charles?
This deck is fair once you take out Gimmick Puppet. It's really like this deck. I don't think deserved to be hit.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's fair deck. I think the fact that it has, for all of its upsides, it has its one biggest downside.
Mm-hmm.
That's a little card called Ass Blossom and Joyous Spring. Yeah, it's been losing that. Branded been losing to Ash Blossom, Joyous Spring since 2022. Yeah, but I think that the fact that this card loses to that, I think this is fine.
Yeah, makes sense. And then for the Power Spirit, I was thinking about 1 to 2. This card is really very good consistency. It's good for almost every deck. You look at your top 6 cards, and like that's a huge advantage, better than Power Duality because that's an extra 3 cards. You have anything else to say from that?
This card is nutty. It changes math, but then again, I don't think Konami is going to hit this card. I think this card is fine because it's kind of a, you know what, most decks can play it, so why put it to 2? Why put it like, so, oh, I saw the 2 of, I think putting this to 3 is fine. Keeping it at 3 is fine. You know, at the end of the day, Konami is going to probably see this as a card that most decks can play. So it is technically a generic card.
Like a staple.
But some decks, it's a staple. I don't know why I'm saying technically. Some decks can't play it. For example, any deck that has the lines of text draw. Yeah. So, like, you know, Sky Striker technically can play it, but I really don't like to, especially if you see Engage to come to 3. Sky Striker, like, would not want to play this card because now you can consistently see a card that literally says Pot of Greed but better. That's why I'm saying there's a select few. It gives them a little bit of a disadvantage, but you also have to banish cards from your extra deck. So if you're playing a deck that has a tighter extra deck, like Branded, you know, you really can't banish for this card, so, you know, you kind of have that issue. So I think that this card is fine at 3.
Makes sense. And then I put Spellbook or Judgment at 2 because I don't think Spellbook's not currently doing anything. Plus, I just want to follow as the OCG.
I think this card can just come to 3. This card is.
Okay.
This card's fine. This card's literally fine. Guess what? Right. This is the same Branded issue. Spellbook, Ash Judgment. Fuck. Like, Ash on Judgment is like literally the craziest thing I've ever heard. The deck just starts to curl up into a ball.
Yeah, makes sense. And then for the 3 of, we put Salamangreat, Gazelle. We were thinking about putting that 2, but I think 3, because I believe they're getting support very soon. I don't know much about it. They're getting support, right?
They're getting support. Adventure Salad could be a very good deck. Gazelle is a card that's very good. And I think it can come to 3 because then again, this is Salamangreat. Putting up a counter trap in 2022 is, yeah. My point.
Makes sense.
I mean, if it will do something with the new support. I just think that Konami wants to boost Salamangreat with the new support and kind of put this card to 3.
Yeah, understandable. And then I put Malicious at 3. I know it's going to be really good for heroes, aka shoutouts to Destiny Hero Mike D time. But yeah, I think it's not going to do much. You have any thoughts on this one, by the way?
I think this card should say it too. Just for the fact of the matter is any deck that can mill a card, you know, giving it 2 free bodies. No, I don't really like that. I don't really don't like that. I just think giving warrior decks literally just 2 extra bodies for free, not fair.
Makes sense. And then this was an interesting one. Engage is at 2. I don't think Sky Striker's not currently doing anything at the moment, but I think it's a really cool deck. I don't know if they get any support, but they did have a support not that long.
They are getting support.
Oh, they're getting more support?
You're getting a card called Sky Striker Ace Camellia, and the card is literally says, okay, can you make a link to in your deck? Okay, you can search Engage.
Dang.
Um,
Okay, I didn't know.
so I think Striker variants are gonna be coming back.
Mhm.
It's also a link to. So Sprite Striker is a very, 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 very real possibility. And with Engage to 3, I don't think this card could ever come to 3. I think that's to say a 2.
Probably
Because if it's 3, Striker variants are very good. Hey, you play a lot of spells in your deck. Here's a Pot of Greed. There you go. All right, you can get 3 spells engraved. There you go. There's Pot of Greed.
Okay.
I literally don't think this card can come to 3.
Yeah.
But I
Okay.
think with Camellia there is a chance because Sprite Striker is a real deck. You could literally just link to into Camellia, send Engage, link into Kagari, add back Engage, Engage search Hornet Drone, and now you have the same amount of link material, but the difference is you drew a card. If you had 3 spells engraved, you drew a card in the process.
Okay, makes sense. And then this the interesting. You've been decided you want to put Part Desire to 3. What was your reason on this?
My reason is I'm trying to find out the reason why it's at 2. I don't get the reason why this is at 2. I don't think this deserves to be at 2. I think the select few decks that can play it really don't care that it's at 2. I think that this card is fine at 3 because it also gives you a higher likelihood of drawing Pot of Desires into Desires.
Okay.
I think it's fine at 3. I don't think 2 is necessary to have this card at 2.
Yeah. Okay, makes sense. And then my wish list. I really want Masterpiece comes to 1. I know people say, "Oh, this card's broken." This card is broken, but like there's like now current format like literally moving faster than ever before. You can have kaiju. You can like run over it somehow. I'm pretty sure, or like a board wipe. Somehow. But yeah, what's your thought? Do you think Masterpiece should come off the list?
I think literally everyone has a a way to get rid of this card.
Yeah, 100%.
Labyrinth, Daruma Cannon. You activate Daruma Cannon. It attempts to flip everything face down. Masterpiece is left on the field. It makes you send it. You, the player, must send it. So that's how that works. You can literally just thrust for Herald of the Abyss.
Dark Ruler.
Dark Ruler could work if you don't tribute a spell. If you don't tribute a trap, you can go into a Imperm. If you don't tribute a monster, literally Nightmare Unicorn, like anything, It's not like, I mean, this card is totally fine. It's the fact that it's not going to be unaffected by everything, and that everyone will have something to have this card.
That's true. That's true. And
I think it could be fine. I'm not 100% sure because there is a chance that Cash can just make a Rise Heart pass and then tribute summon this on their own board. Because technically Cash can do that. Like tribute summon this on their end board. Because they don't normal summon. And I don't know if like that's the call or anything, but I just don't think that's.
Yeah, that's true.
No, 100% fair.
I think Heavy Storm is not cool. See, because like I don't think it's not doing much. It's literally the same thing Heartbeat Feather does. The only difference it can destroy both spells and trap on either player, not just your opponent.
I think we don't want to have 2 copies of Feather Duster running around. That's why I think this card cannot come back.
Okay, and then I know everyone's gonna hate me. I think Maxi. I know it's kind of crazy because like I really want like a format like super balanced. Like sure you can like do full combo, but like if you do get Maxi, you basically can stop the combo deck and then like you get basically play a turn. I just like want like it just like it's like edge. Like okay, you get full You do full combo, you basically get punched. If you don't do full combo, you don't get punched. Not as much. It's kind of like a chance.
Yeah, I mean, I like this card, but I also hate this card at the same time. I think this card's cool in that theory, right? But then it becomes, okay, did my opponent draw let's go over the example. Did my opponent draw a Crossout? Did my opponent draw Callbite? Did my opponent draw Ash? All right, they can still do their thing, right? It's not as simple as just it stops it, because there is a high likelihood of chances that they will have a card that says, hey, no Maxi. So I think at that point, this card effectively just shapes the format to the point where you're playing Maxi and you're playing the outs Maxi. It's no longer, okay, I have to play Ash for Branded. No, it's I have to play Ash for Maxi. Or I'm gonna play Nib in my main deck so I can draw it off of Maxi. I'm gonna play Lava Golem in my main deck to draw it off of Maxi. I'm gonna play one copy of Droll in my main deck so I don't die. If my opponent tries to loop me with Maxi, I can Droll and then stop me from drawing.
Yeah, that's true. And like, I know people complain about Maxi. Like, I felt like it might be because like it's been a long time. You have like several outs to Maxi. You have call by. You need to draw the one up. You have triple Ash Blossom. That's still a thing currently. You got six copies of what's that spell card? The one you activate, you banish the name of that card.
Cross-out designator.
Yeah, so you literally have like 6 to 7 copies of it, so you probably might have a chance to draw a name too. But I don't know. That's just me, and I really love Maxi. But yeah, and then we have 3 more cards to talk about. We forgot to talk about Ancient Fear Dragon. What made you want to put this card out too? Just curious.
I think this card comes 3. I don't think it matters. I think you only play one either way.
Okay, for sure. And then you want to talk about the tuning and then the Pearly, since it is for the Dawn format statement.
Tuning is crazy. You can search Assault Synchron or Revolution Synchron. And either the cards you're searching, you're either milling 2 and getting bodies on board if you search Revolution Synchron, or you're getting a free level 2 extender with the mill 1 with Assault Synchron. I think this card is just annoying to the fact that not only does it search your card for a really good monster, it mills a card. Why? Why does it have to have that effect? It's really, really good, and I think it's something that could come up and be something to be talked about.
Yeah, agree. And like the whole Synchron deck is so broken. You just make like 1 card combo a full board or something like that.
And then Sleepy Memory is just the fact that this is a new Delicious. Literally, it's a 1-card draw 4.
Yeah, that's
plus
crazy.
a spin 2. It's a draw 4 plus a spin 2.
Yeah.
So
that's like basically you're activating Power Greed twice.
Yay.
Yeah. But I think that's all the video for the ban list. Let me know what you guys think. No hate. If we forget anything, let me know what you guys think. Anything we forget. And before ending this video, do you want to give any shout outs? Charles?
So I do want to say something before we end this video. This game might have to get a hard reset or something like that, because this game is very much devolving into a point where you need to power creep stuff out of the format. So we're in an exponential growth chart ever since links happened. We're kind of exponentially like power creeping. And the one thing that I really want to talk about when it comes to the state of this game is the fact that we're getting to a point where your deck has to be doing something unfair to be good, right? Sword Soul is one of the most fair decks out there. But is it the best deck out there? No. Why? Because when it was the best deck, it was because it had a card called Protos, and that's the reason it was good. Because it had an unfair card. So, when we talk about this game that we so much enjoy, if you're not doing something unfair, there's not like your deck's not good, and it's sad to the point that we're going to kind of be going down this road for a while. So if you're not locking your opponent out of the game, your deck's not good. If you're not doing right, it's just the fact that if you're not doing something unfair, your deck is not good.
Yeah.
Which is just kind of disheartening, you know. But at the same time, understandable. So that's just my thought process on what I would like to say about the game
That's true.
and kind of what's happening to the entire thing.
Yeah. But yeah, we just say thanks for your time, Charles. And you guys do make the video all the way to the end. Don't forget to drop a like, subscribe, turn on post notification. Your boy Cyberhorn92, and Charles is signing out. Peace.